Alright, I just want to real quickly go over what you need to have on you as an RV transporter. What is handy to have on you is the ELD exempt rules, stating that you're not required to have to do electronic logs, but you are required to do paper logs. This way the officer, because some officers don't know, unless they're DOT certified, a police officer doesn't know the regular rules on logging. We actually log through Keep Trucking anyway, but this is good to have as backup in case you get in a situation where Keep Trucking isn't working, etc. You have your exemptions. So I always keep that on me as a copy, and they'll give it to you in orientation. I have a big blown up copy of my Montana driver's license. This right here is my DOT physical, the long form, and I actually have the short form in there too. This is my information, and then the back of that one right there is my passport, copy of my passport. My actual passport is right here. But it's nice to have this because I can hand the officer this packet of information and he has everything he needs if I were to get pulled over. Next, as a primary example, I'm going to do it from far back here so you can't read it on purpose because it's sensitive information. Basically, this is the operating agreement for Pinnacle. You need to have that on you there to show that you are responsible for and you are supposed to be in the vehicle for them to drive it. Their insurance, where all the terminals are for Pinnacle. More of where all the terminals are and information for Pinnacle. I'm doing it from a distance because it's sensitive information I don't need to put on YouTube specifically, but it's handy to have this kind of thing. The main thing, I don't have it right at the moment because that would be a better example of it. That's my Synergy packet up there. But you're supposed to have your operating agreement with the company stating that you're supposed to be in the vehicle to begin with. A copy of the plates, even though you have the plates all come with the copy painted or taped on the back of them for the registration. But anyway, your operating agreement, your registration, your insurance for the company, and then the DOT number. Those are the four things that for each company that you need to have on you in paper all the time. Period. Can't be electronic. Nothing has to be on paper so that you can show the officer along with your personal packet of your own information. The ELD rules, your copy of your driver's license, just makes it easier for them. The physical, your DOT physical, in case the DOT officer wants to see that, and your copy of your passport in case you're in Canada, outside of the U.S. It's easier to just show them that. Those are the main things you need. The tools you would need is a painter's tape, works better. Don't use duct tape on the sides to put your decals up. And the company will give you DOT decals with the DOT number on them. Let's see if I can find the one back here as an example. Like that you would tape up on the side of your vehicle, in the window or on the side, on the door, on both sides so that they can see you. Then you're supposed to have your plate, but the front plate can go up on the dash. The back plate needs to go be attached on the back of the vehicle some way. This one has, as you've seen in prior videos, the dog collar strapped up for the plate. I can show you that in a minute. Actually, when I take you out there and show you that, in case you haven't seen my other videos, a fast and easy way to attach the plate. Since we only operate these vehicles in about 4 days at a time, 2 to 4 days a shot, it's faster and easier than messing with these screws all the time that sometimes the factory put them in with air guns, or the step vans, they paint it over top of it as they're spray painting the van, and so it's hard to get them unscrewed. Easier way to do it is to just zip tie your plate to a dog collar, and in the back you just unclip it, and then you just hide where the dog collar clips onto so people don't know. It actually just easily comes right off. Fast and easy unclick, switch your plates out to the other set of plates that you need for a different company or whatever, and keep on going. You just have the different plates that have zip ties already on them. These are for my back plates. These are different companies, that's why I have this many different ones. I have a personal set in there too for my vehicle someday. The other things that you should have on you is a road flare triangles, set of 3 I believe it is, so you can go at a 50, 75, 100 feet out. If you have breakdown on the side of the road, which is really rare for these new units, but you can get a cheap pair of triangles from Walmart. That reminds me, I still need to stop and get the cheap pair. I used to have the really good heavy duty pair that are this long, this big, that you could see forever, and they'd be great if I had a tow car to put them in, but with packing them all the time, it's just inconvenient. So I'm gonna buy the cheap pair from Walmart. But this one happens to have a pair up there underneath the dash. Anyway, so I'm legal with this RV. Most RVs don't. The step vans will have the triangles in them already. It was rare, but this one does have it. Then you're supposed to have a set of fuses, cheap fuses that I gotta go, those ones I do admit I gotta go buy them. But just buy them from Walmart for like $3 a set of two of the different kinds of fuses, 25 amp, 5 to 25 amp fuse set. They come all together for like $3 or $5. They don't even have to fit the rig that you're using. Just DOT requires that you have extra fuses on you, just like those triangles. And then the other thing is, in the wintertime you need to buy snow chains. And then again, the snow chains do not have to fit the outfit that you're actually driving. So just buy the smallest, cheapest pair you can find, leave them in the box and replace them or return them to Walmart or whatever later. But you need to have them for the rules, and for the RV transporting companies, they don't let us drive in the snow and the bad stuff anyway. We're not supposed to. Supposed to avoid wildlife, supposed to avoid driving at night if we can help it. Supposed to avoid bad weather, obviously, if you can help it, because you're only supposed to drive in nice, clear days like today. But I just wanted to go over real quick what you're supposed to have: the operating agreement, your registration, proof of insurance, and the DOT number. Always have to have a copy of that in paper, so that it's easier to hand to a regular police officer, or especially to a DOT officer if you get in roadside inspection. Either a random inspection on the side of the road, or you pull through the weight scales houses where we're supposed to pull through the weight stations. Anyway, whenever they're open, and if they randomly pull you for inspection, you're supposed to have that on you in paper. And then, like I say before, I have the copy of the ELD exemption rules, stating this is more for regular police officers than for DOT, because the DOT know what the rules are. This one I can zoom in on and let you see it, because it's publicly available anyway. But these are the exemptions saying that we don't have to run ELDs in case your electronic logging system, Keep Trucking app, goes down and you're running paper, or you choose to run paper. We can actually choose to run paper logs if you want to, but it's just easier, in my opinion, to run off of Keep Trucking, because it does half the work for you. You just enter the basic statuses of on duty, off duty, or driving, and then send in your fuel receipt. Whenever you buy fuel, you have to prove with supporting documents where you were at the time and date during the day. Doesn't matter what the supporting document is, so much as long as it's an official receipt, like a food receipt or a fuel receipt or whatever. I just stick to the fuel receipts because I know for a fact I'm going to have 1 or 2 fuel receipts a day all the time anyway. So I just get them printed out, and then just as soon as I get done fueling, so that they match the time and date and everything, I go right to the Keep Trucking app, and I open the scan document thingies window, and then I scan the document and put the information that I need to in there on the fuel receipt, so that they know. Basically, they just need time and date that you filled up at, so that they have physical proof supporting your log, that your log is correct. That way you can't just drive down the road and say, I was in so-and-so, Gretna, Nebraska, X amount of time and date, and no proof of actually being there outside of the Keep Trucking app tracking you. So that's why they call them supporting documents, because now that I filled up in Gretna, Nebraska the other day at, I think it was like 3:30 in the afternoon, printed fuel receipt. Obviously I got that printed fuel receipt from somewhere, so it's proof that I was there at that point in that time. And you need to have supporting documents like those fuel receipts on you on hand anyway, because if you get pulled for an inspection on the side of the road, the officer can request to see those receipts. So for that reason, this is my leftover stuff. This is what Synergy, currently I'm driving for Synergy, and this extra paperwork in the back is what Synergy requires us to deliver the RV with, what the instructions of it. But in the front there is all my fuel receipts and food receipts, and I just basically keep all the receipts in the plastic bag that they give us, that form for the bill of lading. That's what's sitting over there. Comes in these plastic bags, so I just keep them, put the fuel receipts, all my receipts for the trip in there, and leave them in there. And I staple the fuel receipts together, the food receipts to themselves together, and then other various stuff if I had to go buy office stuff or whatever. I staple that separate. That way, in a year from now, or not really a year from now, 6 months from now, when I go to do taxes, it's going to be a little easier to pull this out and have the bill of lading in there. This is where I went for that trip. The to and from will be on the bill of lading, and then wherever I stopped will be on the receipts. A little bit annoying to do by old style manually, but I used to run a spreadsheet expediting and stuff like that, and it's just as hard to do that with a CPA, certified accountant. But I figured, you know, a couple hours sitting there with them, not a big deal, because this, the way with RV transporting, especially if you get all long trips, there's only 52 weeks in a year, so at max I'm only going to have about 50 packets. That's, you know, saying that I work long trips every single time. And then I also didn't start at the beginning of this year, so I'm actually only going to have probably 40, somewhere between 40 and 50 packets to go through, which is not going to be a big deal as long as my whole entire trip is covered in each packet. So at tax time, we just go through it together. I was here at such a date and time. You know, and tax-wise, the food you can write off immediately. You know, I'm going to take the $60 per day food per diem anyway, because odds are pretty good that you're not going to eat $60 worth of food every day, so I'd rather count that off as the write-off for taxes than actually count the food receipts. Fuel receipts are opposite of that, because you want to count the fuel. 9 times out of 10, the fuel that you use is more than the fuel per diem that they would give you. So the fuel receipts are the main thing to hold on to. Then your lodging receipts, if you go to a hotel, the last CPA I was talking to said if I'd have done lodging receipts last time of expediting more often, I could have wrote off, if I stayed 2 nights a month, I could have wrote off what amounts to about 4 nights a week worth in payback, back taxes, write-off taxes. So if I spent $200 worth, you know, in 2 nights worth of hotel stays, I can write off about $400 worth of not being liable for $400 worth. So it helps to do the lodging throughout the year anyway, just to show that. But that's getting off on a tax tangent. I just wanted to show you, if you're new and going into RV transport business, the main things you need to have on you all the time. There's a bunch of other fluff that's in here that I don't have to have, but each company has some stuff that's half useful to have on me. I'm considering scanning that with my phone by camera, and then just keeping a camera electronic version of it and not carrying it around to lighten the load, just because I have 4 dictionaries, basically 4 companies worth of stuff. Like just Synergy stuff alone right there is pretty thick, and that's just their basics, and then some of lot information on where their lots are and when their lots are open, and how to go about getting in after hours and stuff like that. That's handy stuff to have should I ever need it. But I took out the majority of the fluff, because these companies like to give you a bunch of what they consider to be helpful stuff, but it's a bunch of office people telling drivers on the road what's helpful, and then trying to tell you that you should pack that whole booklet around with you. Well, I'm sorry, but it's hard enough to pack 1 booklet around for one company, let alone 4. You know, so I had to lighten my load. And so in doing so, like I said, the main thing is your operating agreement, DOT number, your license plates, and your insurance. You have to have that on you all the time in physical paper, so that it's just way easier to show the DOT, especially for DOT, but DOT or police officer if you get pulled over, way easier to have your shit together. And like I say, I have my Synergy stuff up there, so I can just, if I get pulled over, I can hand them that stuff, and they don't have to dig through my whole entire book. And I don't want them looking at the rest of the companies anyway. I don't need to have any more of a reason to go through my stuff than just for Synergy. Since this RV is Synergy, I pulled Synergy's information out up front, and this is my personal information that I'm going to put with it. Then if I get pulled over, all I got to do is hand that to him. And that's all they need to really care or know about. You don't need to hand them, you know, a whole entire book of crap that's not related to the trip that you're on. But anyway, I just thought I'd go over the information that I've learned in the 4 different orientation classes that I've taken, and the more so the vital information to remind you that you do need to have, you know, kind of a book of information. And the more organized you can be, the faster and easier it'll be in case you get pulled over when you weren't expecting it, and so on. And I stapled those packets together That's why they're hanging out together, just like I stapled this one, as you can see, so that I know that all that information that I need is in one spot. Easy to pull, and then I throw them up there or next to the plate in front, so that I can just give them the plate and that stuff if they need it. If I were to ever get pulled over, chances are not very good of getting actually pulled over for random on the side of the road for an RV. The step vans and box trucks is a little bit more of an issue depending on the state that you go through. I've heard places like Georgia pick on the box trucks, so that's just what I've heard from other drivers. Most of the time these RVs, they leave them alone because they know it's brand new and it's just a unit you're transporting. But the box trucks could be anything. You could be transporting the truck, or you could be actually working for a business for the truck, actually hauling weight and stuff. And the main thing that weight stations care about, obviously, is the weight. But this video is getting longer and longer, so I just thought I would show you what I carry on me. The other basics that I carry on me is, of course, the stapler to staple all my receipts together and staple that paperwork together. And then I have a pair of scissors in there to cut any the receipts down and take all the fluff of the receipts that I don't need off. So I just have the basics of what I do need. All you need on the receipt is the date, the time, and the location of where you filled up at. And then I usually include, obviously, that it was fuel. But that way, so I can easily show DOT or the police officer, yeah, here's my receipts. And that's also why I gathered them today, so that I have the 4 fuel receipts together. I gotta be like, yep, there you go. In case something happens, I can easily grab that and show them. It's also in the Keep Trucking app because I've already scanned the 4 fuel receipts. So when you go into inspection mode on the Keep Trucking app, they can actually pull the receipts up and see it too under inspection mode. The inspection mode thing is kind of nice, where you enter inspection mode, then you enter your own password, then you hand your phone to the cop. Cop goes through it all, but he can only pull up the last 7 days worth of your log. You can't pull up everything from the last, however many months you've been working for the company without entering that password that you just entered. So as long as you don't show them that, they can only see the last 7 days. Anyway, this information I learned for the last 4 orientations from these companies and how to do this, and I just wanted to make a video of it so that you people who are looking into specifically into doing this business, doing driveway or towaway, and doing the RV or box truck transporting business, kind of know what to expect going into it. That way there's no surprises. Like and subscribe, leave comments. We'll catch you on the flip. Peace.